Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm here with Dr. Stephen Chao. Dr. Stephen Chao, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully everyone is as well.
Well, you were out there for the George Floyd rally, I think on Saturday. Is that correct?
On Friday. So
On Friday.
Friday was the one spearheaded by Black Lives Matter Houston.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are your thoughts on, first of all, before we go into what happened, what are your thoughts on the way we did the rally here in Houston compared to what you've seen around the country?
Well, I think, the rally here was a collaboration among several groups, obviously BLM Houston, but also I believe it's Standing Up for Racial Justice, SURJ, Texas, and Indivisible, and I may be leaving off one or two groups, but you know, the rally itself ended at 4:30. So anything that happened afterward was not, to my understanding, officially part of the rally. Now, as for the rally itself, which was the march from Discovery Green to City Hall, and then from City Hall back to Discovery Green, I thought it was, it's been heartbreaking to see all of this happening. What happened last Monday in Minneapolis with George Floyd, so I'm representing an organization called OCA, Asian Pacific American Advocates Greater Houston. So we're a Asian American civil rights advocacy education organization, a chapter of a national organization headquartered in DC that we have about 42 chapters around the country. And from the Asian American community, it is heartbreaking to see that the video of Mr. Floyd, a Houston native, be the target, the victim of continued discrimination. And the Asian American community stands by the Black community in their fight for justice. It heartened me that there was a lot of young people out there. Heartens me that there are a lot of young Asian Americans that participated. We were there to support our friends at BLM. We brought 2,000 face masks to Discovery Green and 2,000 sets of gloves and hand sanitizer to support the march, because as you all know that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and just before this incident happened, we had incidents of discrimination and violence against Asian Americans all around the country. Because why? Because people see us as the other, and that purportedly we were carrying a virus. And
Stephen, Dr. Chao, it doesn't help that we have a president who continue to try to give nationality to a virus, does it?
No, it doesn't. We've seen that he, very deliberately labeled it Chinese virus, that their framing of this has been very racialized. And this really goes back to a legacy, a history of othering, whether you're Black, brown, yellow, red, there's always been this othering of other communities. As we've seen from history, Asians have faced exclusion. The Chinese specifically, the first laws to actually legislate that to subject a specific people group to restrictions on immigration were the Chinese Exclusion Acts. And we have faced that discrimination and we have fought it. And we really owe a legacy to the African American community. We owe a great debt to the legacy of the African American community for standing up for civil rights, for opening up the opportunity to have those laws struck down finally in 1965 with the Immigration and Nationality Act, that, you know, folks like my own parents were able to come to this country. And I do also want to allude to a long history also of, and you know, I really regret this, but Asian American complicity in a system of oppression, where you saw from the video that there was an Asian officer who told the crowd to back off and to mind their own business. And I will say, you know, that the Asian American community has participated in anti-Blackness. It has been used as a wedge, as a divide, you know, with this whole model minority myth, where it's like, oh, if y'all just work harder and behave, then y'all can achieve this so-called American dream. And so I want to say with our Black brothers and sisters is that we stand with you in this time of struggle, and that we seek justice for George Floyd as well.
Dr. Chao, those words go without saying. I think those are very important words for several reasons. Complicity is not solely Asian, it's even Black, as I was speaking to some others before, in that many of our own police officers, Black police officers in these organizations, are complicit in the blue wall of silence. So it is a complicity that goes throughout. I mean, there are different dynamics, notwithstanding. I think we all have, it's great. What occurs is horrendous, but I think one of the things, having people like you engaged, having many of the other activists of various different ethnicities engaged, I think is important, because it presents that message that we can all learn from. Because your message is something many Asians, many Blacks, many otherwise likely didn't know about. And just the education that you're providing in that respect is very important, that will ultimately lead to harmony and not what white supremacy needs, which is ignorance.
Right, I wholeheartedly agree, Egberto. And, you know, and it's interesting for me being a physician. So I'm a family physician. I work in the safety net system here in Houston and Harris County, as you know, Egberto.
Yes.
And I've worked with Black and brown communities every day. And it's an interesting time to see how all of our communities are being affected. You know, my patients, that they are essential workers, they are on the front lines, they're grocery workers, they're home health attendants, they're working in nursing homes, they're housekeepers. And, you know, I think the greater question is that we have a system that takes advantage of folks, you know, denies them healthcare, denies them civil rights, denies them jobs. We have 40 million people out of work. And, you know, and to me, the Asian American struggle here has been about labor, you know, that 150 years ago, that folks were brought here to build railroads and then forgotten. Or even today, where we have, in say our medical center, we have many researchers that are working on a vaccine for this virus, but they're researchers, they're former physicians, and they're brought here to work often minimum wage. And the story of America is a story of exploitation of labor, starting from its original sin of slavery, right? Of counting people as 3/5 of a person, right? Counting slaves as 3/5 of a person, and then bringing migrant farm workers over, or people to build the railroads, or Filipino nurses, or Indian and Asian, Indian and Chinese scientists, researchers that now apparently we don't want anymore.
Or you want at a discount.
At a discount. Or currently right now, what's been proposed is to put a hold on graduate students when innovation in this country has come from immigration, and granted, most Asians came here as immigrants. Some came as refugees, but we've always had this interconnection, right? We've always had this interconnection of coming here to do the work, not always under the most welcome of circumstances. I saw a posting yesterday from a group called Pivot, the Progressive Vietnamese Network, and they found a New York Times article from 1978, I believe, that was taken out by Black leaders, people like Reverend Ralph Abernathy and many signatories, at a time when refugees from Southeast Asia were not wanted. And Black folks, Black leaders stood up for us, even when it was unpopular, and said, we have committed war. We have committed tremendous acts of violence against these people, and these people are not our enemy, and therefore we should bring these folks from Southeast Asia over. And so, we've had a long history of interconnection. I would not be able to be here without the changing immigration laws. And my wife, she's Vietnamese, I'm Chinese. Her family would not be able to be here if it were not for the struggles that the Black community have really pioneered and led for us.
Dr. Stephen Chao, I think that is the excellent place to end this with the information that you are able to provide us, the knowledge that you're able to provide us, the history that you're able to provide us. You've done a necessary thing. Thank you so kindly for having been with Politics Done Right.
Thank you, Egberto.
I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.